Adventure Angler is brought to you by Club Marine Insurance and Daiwa Fishing Tackle.
I've been incredibly lucky in my time producing the Adventure Angler TV series to visit some of the world's greatest trout fishing locations. I've been lucky enough to fish New Zealand on a number of occasions and catch big backcountry brown trout. We also went to Alaska and I managed to catch all 5 species of salmon on the fly, which was fantastic. But now, I've travelled here to the USA, the Gunnison River and the Black Canyon Gorge, and isn't it just a most remarkable place? Breathtaking towering gorges, beautiful trout stream full of both browns and rainbow trout. But of course, the USA is actually the birthplace of the rainbow trout for the rest of the world. So it's an amazing opportunity to now explore the origins of the rainbow trout. Behind me is one of the world's foremost rod designers and fly fishermen, a guy called Jim Barchi. He's the president of the leading Scott fly rod company. So we thought it was only fitting that before we hit the water, we call into the Scott factory, and Jim presented me with a personally signed new Scott Radian fly rod. Pretty cool, really. To fly fishermen around the globe, the Scott factory is a symbol of quality and precision. In these humble headquarters in Montrose, Colorado, their dedicated team has managed to create an exceptional series of fly rods. They've combined cutting-edge engineering with great love of traditional fly fishing, and there's no better person to talk me through this process than the company's president and master designer, Jim Barchi.
So Micah, this is the shop floor. This is where all the magic happens. This is where every Scott fly rod gets handcrafted from raw materials to finished product. Building a fly rod, as you're about to find out, is really an amazing journey of combining engineering with artistry and a lot of dedication and a lot of know-how. It's really cool.
It sounds amazing, Jim. I'm really keen for you to show me through this process.
Great. The first step takes place in the rolling room, where we actually turn carbon fiber into a tapered hollow tube that becomes the fly rod blank.
A fly fishing rod is a very particular type of instrument, a fact that Scott is very aware of. They've pioneered a technique where different kinds of graphite are combined to form the blank of the rod. This ensures that it's firm and strong, but also has the right amount of flexibility and recovery.
So the next step is to wrap a compressive tape over the carbon fiber. Once the tape's wrapped on, they actually go into an oven and bake to cure. We, again, take a little different approach. Instead of using a fast cure epoxy that you can put into a hot oven and cure in 15 minutes like a lot of people do, we use a 4-hour slow, gentle ramp up at a few degrees a minute so that we don't thermally shock anything. And again, it takes more time, but it's way more precise and we get much more consistent results. So the next step is taking those hollow tapered tubes that we made in the rolling room and taper matching them and cutting them to length to assemble into a fly rod blank. Fly rod building is a real combination of technology, engineering, and art. And once the blank is fully assembled, that's where a lot of the art comes in, because then we start putting the components on it and turning the fly rod blank into a fly rod.
Any fisherman can tell you how important the grip on their favourite fishing rod is. It's the connection between angler and rod. I'm glad to see that Scott uses a high quality reel seat and a comfortable grip made from the best cork available.
Once the grip and reel seat are on the blank, it's time to wrap the guides on. And that's all done by hand, by winding thread along the blank. It's really a time-consuming and detail-oriented job. You know, we do a lot of decorative thread work. We use the best guides that you can possibly buy on our rods. And we even do things like use translucent threads so you can see through and actually see that we paid attention to all the details, like straight guide feet, no gaps in the wraps, really precise stuff. After all that great wrap work's been done, it's time to actually glue it all down to the blank. It can be done with a high build finish in one day, but we don't like the look of that, and it's a little bit too imprecise for us. We use such nice components and put so much time into the wrapping, why would we want to cover it up with a big glob of varnish, right? So instead, we use very thin coats, one per day, built up over 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, it's an amazing effort, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but it's all worth it to us. You know, we have so much pride in handcrafting this product. If we know there's a better way to do it and we're not using it, we wouldn't be true to ourselves, right?
Yeah, right. So that's the Scott essence, isn't it?
It is doing things the right way, really paying attention to those details, handcrafting each rod start to finish.
No imperfections, the perfect fly rod.
Yep.
I like it.
So this is the final step, Micah, where we hand inscribe the Scott name, the model number, and an individual serial number on each rod we make. And we can even put your name on it if you'd like.
Yeah, look, I think that'd be perfect. Wow, that looks absolutely fantastic. So a new 5-weight Radian Scott. I can't wait to catch a Colorado rainbow on this tomorrow.
Well, yeah, we'll send it into coating and get that finished up, and it'll be ready to go in the morning.
Awesome. Thanks, Teresa.
Nice.
I'm in Colorado today visiting the Scott Fly Rod Factory. I've seen a strip of graphite turn into a beautiful personalised fly rod. Now with my brand new rod in hand, we're going to try and catch some rainbow trout in the majestic Black Canyon on the Gunnison River.
Nice.
It doesn't really matter how big fish are, like I've chased some big fish in New Zealand. You've seen them there on occasion as well. They're incredible fish, but it really doesn't matter how big a fish is. To present a fly to a trout that you can spot, watch it eat the fly, if it's 6 inches...
It doesn't get any better than that.
No, exactly.
It's just for me.
No, I think for anyone.
Sight fishing for trout and watching their behavior as the fly drifts by and they eat.
Oh, there he
came
goes.
off. But that's okay. Awesome. Nice.
Let's get the next one,
Yeah.
How good's that?
Nice, Micah.
Yeah. How good's this?
Gunnison River rainbow.
Oh, really?
Isn't it?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Let's see. I thought it was in the water.
This is pretty cool, Jim, I must admit. To come here in this amazing looking canyon. They call it the Black Canyon on the Gunnison.
Yep. And it's a national park here in the U.S.
Okay.
Which means it is the most highly preserved and protected area. That's how special it is.
Oh, wow. How cool is that, Jim?
Beautiful Gunnison River rainbow, Micah. This is a fairly typical fish, but they get quite a bit larger in here, and we're going to look for some of those today. But gorgeous markings and coloring, great fighters, and these are protected, catch and release only.
Oh, that's great,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's great.
Yeah, fantastic.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm very excited. This is my first American trout. I've caught some in Alaska before.
Congrats.
Thanks, man. I mean, I just lost that brownie. Did all the hard work, got the bite. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But basically, 2 fish straight up, a brown, then a rainbow. I'm pretty excited, Jim.
Yeah.
I think it's your turn, though. What do you think?
Sure, I'll take a turn.
It's an absolute honour to come here and have a look at these beautiful Gunnison River rainbows. I want to get this guy back in the water. What do you think?
Great.
All right. How cool is that?
Jim is a master fly fisherman, so I'm keen to watch him and learn everything I can.
Here's a beautiful juvenile Gunnison River brown trout. Beautifully marked up and colored fish. Someday this will be a big strong bruiser.
This is fantastic, Jim. I've just hooked a nice little rainbow, I'd say. There's a lot of fish stacked up through here, isn't there?
Yeah. And the blue-wing olives are just starting to hatch, and I think these fish are going to get more active.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Outstanding scenery.
A good fighter too for smaller fish. I mean, these fish are known for their spirit.
Yeah, and we're
as much
fishing
as their size.
We're fishing pretty light too, right? So
Yeah.
it's not like you can pull too hard. There's a fair bit of current. You know, they're relatively technical fish at times, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, as you saw, you had to use real small tungsten and real precise drift.
That's a beautiful little fish there, Jim, isn't it? Now,
Gorgeous fish, Micah. Look at that. Look at the coloring on it. Beautiful rainbow. Wild Gunnison fish.
and what's really cool about this for me, Jim, is I've caught rainbows in a few different countries, and obviously a lot of them in my home in Australia, but this is the birthplace of the world's rainbow trout, really, isn't it? North American is basically where all of the world's rainbow trout have come from.
Absolutely, and these are actually transplanted as well. All rainbows started on the west coast of the States.
In California?
Yes, and so these actually are migrants. They're not natives, but they're wild now. So they've been here long enough to be wild reproducing fish.
Yeah, it's outstanding, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to catch it here with my new Scott 5-weight radian that we made earlier.
Isn't that great?
Pretty cool story, really, isn't it?
It really is.
How fantastic. Well,
So
Jim,
you want to release this fish?
absolutely. I'll get this fly out, and I'll let you put him back. Little size 16 pheasant tail.
Yep.
Go for it, Jim. What a beautiful fish. Well, Jim, you've just shown me how to do it. That was absolutely magnificent, mate.
Awesome, thanks. Thanks, Micah.
Now we're using what you call a baetis.
Yeah, a small blue-winged olive. Teeny, awful little thing to see.
Yeah, size 20.
Yeah.
I tried to tie it on. I barely got that job done. It's amazing that these fish are so selective on a size 20 dry.
Yeah, they really are. These are very finicky fish that will come up and sniff your fly and inspect it. Can you
I'll do the
grab
honest
him for me?
I will.
Yeah.
Oh, Jim, well done. That's a beautiful
Awesome,
little rainbow.
Micah, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, you're used to measuring these fish in inches. How many inches would you call that?
That's about a 17 or 18 inch fish.
Now, that's a pretty good trout over here, isn't it?
Oh, it's a great trout anywhere in the States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a beauty. I'll let you get that little baetis dry out of his mouth. I'm going to get this beautiful trout,
Nice.
this Colorado rainbow, back into the water. Well done, Jim.
Well, Micah's fishing the next run. I thought I'd tell you something about the river we're on. It's called the Gunnison, and it's one of the largest tributaries to the Colorado River. It's an incredible fishery in one of the most idyllic and beautiful settings you'll ever see. And it's one of Colorado's most famous trout rivers. It's known for prolific insect hatches and a good population of rainbow and brown trout. I feel super lucky that I live only 20 minutes away and can travel from work at the Scott shop down here any day of the week. So it's a real privilege for me to share it with Micah. And I think if any of you are coming to fish the States for trout, it should be high on your list of places to visit.
What a beautiful little fish, hey? Gunnison River brown trout. What a privilege it is to fish here in the place they call the Black Canyon on the Gunnison. As you can see, it's just amazing scenery behind me. And to have a river full of these little browns and rainbow trout that want to sip dry flies and take little trailing pheasant tail nymphs, it's pretty cool, I reckon. Certainly well worth the journey. I'll give this guy a little bit of fresh water through his gills. There we go, that little pheasant tail's just come out. Off you go, mate. What a place, eh?
I'm in Colorado today fishing for rainbow trout in the Gunnison River. Jim Barchi is teaching me the intricacies of fly fishing this beautiful species in his local waterway.
Nice! All right, mind that fish. Sorry, I got too excited.
Oh, that is so sweet, eh?
There he goes. Oh, that was so nice.
Jimmy and I were absolutely wrapped with that, as you can tell. Just such an amazing experience to see those fish. Super, super technical, to be honest, in that little area, eating sort of size 20 dry flies. You've got to get your cast right on the money, and more importantly, it's got to be not too far in front, as Jim's taught me. It's got to land just a little in front, but also at the opportune time. As the fish are rising sort of repetitively, try and make the cast at that point so that they're not sitting down and watching the presentation come in. So it's as much about accuracy and also timing.
Absolutely.
It's taken a little to get the hang of. It's, like I said, quite a technical little spot, but what an amazing reward. To be honest, if I don't land this fish, I actually don't care. It was all about that little take and how slow it was, and lift up the little 5/8 radian and you're tight. So that moment, Jimmy and I high five. It's just so special. It's really, really cool.
Fly fishing for rainbow trout is highly technical, and Jim is more than happy to share his experience.
All of a sudden, a fish like this becomes pretty serious on 2.5 pound, 3 pound tippet, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're using Trout under fluorocarbon. It's pretty good stuff, right? But
oh, it's super strong, but I mean,
it's still only 3 pounds.
Yeah.
I might just back this drag off a little.
And when a fish is running that hard, you know, and jumping and
exactly
turning into this kind of heavy current.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I want to keep him out of that current, don't I?
Yeah. So you can keep him in this back eddy,
yeah,
but also not let him dive too much because there's some rocks and stuff down there. That
oh, just come off. That's all right. How good's that, hey? Like we said, we really didn't care if we landed that fish. It would have been nice, probably a 3 or 4 pound fish, Jim.
That was a solid 3 or 4 pound fish. I could see when he was feeding the width on his back.
Yeah.
And with these Gunnison fish, they quit getting much longer after about 20, 21 inches, and they just get wider and wider.
Yeah.
So, he was a nice football-shaped fish with the hefty shoulders on him.
Yeah, okay. Well, like we said, we're using tiny, tiny dry flies. The hook is just millimetres in its gauge, but it was all about that rise.
That was fantastic. Beautifully done. I was so excited because I saw that fly land, and I was like, oh, that's perfect.
Yep.
And you could just see that fish look at it and think, and then he looked up and that slow, slow rise, and he closed his mouth, and you just timed it perfect. You just waited and let him close his mouth and sink back down, and
it's on.
Yeah.
Oh, well, how cool is that, mate?
That's awesome.
Let's go find another fish somewhere.
Yeah.
That was great. Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it? Not a big fish. There's a few nice fish in here, and it's probably one of the smaller ones, but just so technical, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah, all of these are hard-earned, regardless of size.
Lovely little rainbow.
Yeah. But even a fish like this in here is pretty strong. I mean,
yeah. What fly was that you handed me, Jim? It was certainly small.
An emerging midge.
Yeah, right.
So a midge that was just hatching its wings. It's funny that you have to go to such lengths for these trout in here.
But you do. I mean,
right.
I've hooked a few in here and I've caught 1 or 2 now, but they've all been on size 18 or 20 or something like
22,
that. Yeah.
I think is what you're fishing now.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
That's a pretty one too.
Yeah,
Really
it's
bright.
kind of vibrant in here.
Yeah. Beautiful fish, Micah. Wow. Look at the colors on this. And
he's a beautiful guy, isn't he?
yeah, what a specimen of a nice wild Gunnison rainbow. White-tipped fins. Just perfect.
Yeah, he's an amazing little fish, isn't he?
Yeah.
And so cool to catch on a little tiny dry fly like that.
Absolutely. What a fish.
Beautiful.
Let's get him back in the water. Oh, that is a teeny fly.
It's amazing that they can even see them, hey?
Yeah.
However, we're not the only ones interested in trout today.
Are you worried, Jim?
Probably not a good idea to have a... We'll just move down.
Got a black bear here. Apparently it's quite rare. Jim's actually taken off. I guess I should be concerned. Maybe I'm going too. How cool is this? I got to see the big grizzly bears in Alaska and now a black bear here in Colorado. Obviously quite a bit smaller, but still dangerous in their own merits. Pretty amazing. Jim reckons this is actually quite rare to see a black bear on this river on this side of the road. Pretty special, really. Wow, Jim.
Awesome fish. Nice, Micah, man. That was a great fish to catch. That is a great Gunnison rainbow.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yep.
This is typical of our big fish. Beautiful wild fish, really strong fighter.
Really good condition, plump, beautiful markings.
Yeah.
You know, some of the fish we get in Australia, the rainbows, won't have all those black spots on the belly.
Oh, yeah.
They'll just be on the top.
Some people travel to Alaska to catch fish like this.
Yeah, that's
know?
an absolute cracker, isn't it?
Isn't it a beauty?
Well done.
Thanks. All right, let's get this girl back in the water.
Oh, that looks fantastic, Jim. All right, beautiful rainbow.
Awesome.
Off you go, big girl.
Cool.
How good's that, man?
I've fallen in love with my personalised fly rod, and before I leave Colorado, I can't resist just one more cast.
He's coming. He's got it. Nice! Woohoo!
How good is this place? It does not get any better, obviously, than using light tippets, light fly rods and dry flies on brown and rainbow trout. It's the coolest of the cool in the gym.
I know, and we're sight fishing everything.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
nice brownie.
That guy was sitting in about 6 inches of water, 2 foot off the bank. Just one cast about a foot in front. He came over and slowly just
Didn't
sucked
you
it in.
love the way he thought about it? And it almost looked like he wasn't going to do it. And
Yeah.
then he said, nah,
No, I've
gotta have it,
gotta
gotta
eat
have
that. Wow, how cool is that, Jim?
Look at the spots on him.
That is just a beautiful trout, isn't it? Looks like one of the Tassie trout that we get. They get these beautiful red spots.
Yeah.
They're really vivid. That's just amazing to catch that on that little size, what is it, about a size 16 Adams?
Oh, no, that's about a 20.
Oh, just a size 20, no big deal. Little parachute Adams. Beautiful. That take. Doesn't get any better, does it?
That's it.